You set up the trap last weekend. Apple juice. A pinch of boric acid. Just like the video showed you. This morning, you went outside to check. 40 dead wasps inside. You felt good. Then you look closer. 3 of them weren't wasps. They were honeybees. The apple juice and boric acid trap, the one going viral across YouTube and TikTok, the one promised to be safe for honeybees, isn't safe at all. It doesn't just kill the bees that fly in, it kills entire colonies. Today, I'll show you why that recipe fails. And I'll show you what to change in that same trap. Just one ingredient swap that keeps it deadly to wasps, but completely safe for honeybees. All built from a single Coke you'd throw away. 0 cost, 0 dead bees, and it works for all 12 months of the year. This method is based on real entomology research. I'll walk you through every month, what to put in, when, and why. But first, you need to know if you actually have a wasp problem worth solving. So before you spend another $1 on traps or sprays, let's figure out what you're actually dealing with. Because the type of wasp problem you have decides everything that comes next. There are 3 signs. If you've seen any one of them around your home this year, you have a wasp problem worth solving. Sign number 1. A small hole in the ground, usually in a quiet corner of your yard, with wasps flying in and out every few seconds. This is the worst kind. It's an underground yellowjacket nest, and a single colony can hold up to 5,000 workers by late summer. Most people only discover it the hard way, when they run over it with a lawnmower. Sign number 2. A gray, papery shape under your eaves, your soffits, or in a tree branch. It might look like a small honeycomb, or a hanging paper bag the size of a fist. That's a paper wasp or hornet nest. These are easier to spot, but the wasps inside are protective and fast. Sign number 3. Wasps circling your garbage cans, your outdoor dinner table, or any sweet drink left outside. This one is different. This is the late summer sign, the most dangerous time for honeybees, and the reason most viral wasp trap videos exist in the first place. If you've nodded at any of these 3 signs, don't rush to buy spray. Because there's a reason you've tried so many things over the years, and the wasps still come back. That reason is simple. And it's not your fault. Think back. Last summer, you bought a can of Raid. The summer before, you tried one of those fake paper nests that supposedly scare wasps away. Maybe the year before that, you mixed up some viral apple juice recipe you saw online. Each time, you got rid of the wasps for a few weeks, maybe even a whole season. And then, the next spring, they came back. Same eve, same corner of the yard, same problem. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem isn't that you used the wrong product. The problem is that wasps aren't the same creature in May as they are in September. In early spring, a queen wakes up and looks for a place to build a nest. In summer, her workers hunt protein, real meat, to feed the larvae growing inside. In late summer, those larvae stop needing food, and the workers suddenly switch to craving sugar. By winter, almost the entire colony is dead, and only new queens survive, hidden in cracks waiting for the next spring. 4 completely different behaviors, 4 different appetites, 4 different opportunities to stop them. So ask yourself this. Every viral wasp trap video shows you one recipe, one bait, one method. But if wasps hunt meat in May and crave sugar in September, how could one recipe possibly work all year? It can't. That's why you've been failing. To trap wasps without killing honeybees, you first need to understand how these 2 species are fundamentally different. And this is exactly where every viral video stops short. Here's what every viral video misses. Honeybees and wasps aren't just different sizes. They're built from completely different biological blueprints. Honeybees are strict vegetarians. They only eat 2 things in nature: flower, nectar, and pollen. That's it. Their bodies are designed for one job: finding flowers. But here's the part that ruins the viral apple juice recipe. When flowers run out in late summer, usually from August through October, honeybees get desperate. They start searching for any sugar source they can find. Fallen fruit, sweet drinks, and yes, your apple juice trap. So that promise, safe for honeybees, only holds true when flowers are blooming. The exact months your trap stays out, August, September, October, are the exact months honeybees are most likely to drink from it. Wasps work the opposite way. In spring and summer, they hunt protein, real meat. They catch caterpillars, flies, even bits of your barbecue, and bring it back to feed their larvae. Honeybees can't digest meat, so a protein bait catches wasps without touching a single bee. But then, late summer hits. The larvae stop needing food. The workers suddenly need sugar instead, and that's when both species, wasps and honeybees, start competing for the exact same thing, a sweet liquid in a can. Now here's where boric acid turns a small mistake into a catastrophe. When a honeybee finds your bait, she doesn't drink it and die on the spot. She drinks it and flies home. Back at the hive, she does something honeybees have done for millions of years. She shares the food with her sisters. Mouth to mouth, bee to bee. One bee can feed dozens. Those dozens feed hundreds. And boric acid doesn't kill instantly. It builds up over days, destroying the gut lining of every bee that took even a drop. One trap, one bait, one sip, and an entire colony of 40,000 bees collapses within a week. That is what safe for honeybees actually means in late summer. It means slow, invisible, total destruction. So if apple juice and boric acid is the wrong recipe, what's the right one? The answer is simpler than you think. You don't need a new trap. You don't need new tools. You just need to change one ingredient and change what goes into the can depending on the month. That's where the Coke can comes in. The trap itself is simple. Anyone can build it in 2 minutes. You take an empty Coke can, rinse it out, and cut off the top third. Flip that piece upside down, push it back into the bottom, and you have a funnel. Wasps fly in easily, but they can't find their way back out. That's the entire build. Free, recyclable, sitting in your kitchen right now. But the can isn't what makes this work. The can is just the container. What makes this method different from every other wasp trap on the internet is what goes inside the can and when. Because wasps change 4 times a year, your bait has to change 4 times too. Same trap, same can, same hanging spot. But 4 different recipes, one for each season. Spring, summer, fall, and winter. Get this rhythm right, and you'll catch wasps every month they're active, without harming a single honeybee. Get it wrong, and you'll do exactly what that viral recipe does. Kill the wrong species at the wrong time. So here's the first one, the spring formula. The one that stops a 5,000 wasp colony before it even begins. Spring is the most important month of the entire year, and almost nobody talks about it. Here's why. When winter ends and the ground warms up, queen wasps wake up from hibernation. Just queens. Every other wasp from last year is already dead. These queens spent the cold months hidden in cracks, in wood piles, under bark. Now they crawl out, hungry. And they have one mission. Find a place to build a new nest. Each queen that survives spring becomes a colony of 4,000 to 5,000 wasps by August. So think about it this way. If you catch one queen in March, you've just prevented 5,000 workers in summer. One trap, one queen, one whole colony erased before it ever existed. Here's the spring recipe. Inside your Coke can trap, mix 2 tablespoons of sugar water, 1 tablespoon of plain white vinegar, and 1 drop of Dawn dish soap. The sugar attracts the queen, who's desperate for energy after months without food. The vinegar pushes honeybees away the moment they smell it. The soap breaks the water tension, so the queen sinks instead of floating out. That's it. 3 ingredients, already in your kitchen. Now placement. Hang your trap at least 20 feet, about 6 meters, from your house. Wasps follow their bait, and you don't want them following it toward your front door. Keep the trap low, between 1.5 to 5 feet off the ground. Queens fly low when they're scouting for nest sites. They check fence lines, low branches, the underside of decks, holes in the soil. Put your trap in those zones. And here's a tip most people miss. Hang the spring trap near the exact spot where wasps built a nest last year. Queens return to familiar territory. The eve they used last August is the eve they're scouting again this April. Check your trap every 3 days. If you catch a queen, you'll see a wasp that's noticeably bigger than the workers you remember from summer. About 3/4 of an inch long, bright yellow and black. That single catch could save your entire summer. But if you missed the spring window, or you're watching this in June or July, don't worry. The next recipe takes over from here, and it's the safest one of the entire year for honeybees. Now here's where this method gets interesting. Because summer is when most people give up. You've seen it before. By June, wasps are everywhere. They're under your deck. They're at your barbecue. They're stealing meat right off your plate. And every sweet trap you've tried is suddenly catching the wrong thing. Your apple juice bait is full of honeybees instead of wasps. There's a reason for that. In summer, wasps aren't looking for sugar. They're looking for meat. By May, the queen has built her first nest and laid her first batch of eggs. Those eggs hatch into larvae, and larvae are basically tiny meat-eating machines. The workers spend every daylight hour hunting, catching caterpillars, flies, and yes, scraps from your kitchen, all to feed the babies back home. That's why wasps suddenly love your barbecue in July. They're not after the bread, they're after the brisket. And this is the part that makes summer the safest season of the entire year for honeybees. Honeybees are vegetarians. They literally cannot digest meat. A bee will fly past a piece of chicken without slowing down. Not because it's avoiding it, because chicken isn't food to a bee. It's just an object. So here's the summer recipe. Inside your Coke can, drop a piece of rotisserie chicken about the size of your thumb, or one sardine straight from the can, or a spoonful of wet cat food. Add a few drops of water to keep it from drying out, and that's it. No sugar, no vinegar, no soap needed. Why does this work so well? Because wasps will find that chicken within an hour. Honeybees will never come near it. Ever. Now there's one catch, and it's important. Meat bait spoils fast in summer heat. After a day or two in direct sunlight, your chicken turns into something so rotten that even wasps avoid it. Empty your old bait into a bag, throw it in the trash, rinse the can, and reload with fresh meat. 2 minutes of work, every other day, all summer long. But everything I just told you, the protein bait, the Be Safe guarantee, all of it stops working in August. Because in August, wasps change again. And this is the month that decides whether honeybees in your neighborhood live or die. This is the month most viral wasp videos exist for. And it's the month they cause the most damage. By late August, something shifts inside every wasp nest in your neighborhood. The larvae stop needing food. Suddenly, the workers have no babies to feed. For the first time all year, they don't need protein. They need sugar. Pure, fast, easy sugar to fuel themselves before winter kills them. And that's exactly when they invade. They swarm your trash cans. They drown in your soda. They sting kids at school picnics. This is the month homeowners across America panic and Google how to kill wasps fast. What pops up first? A viral video showing a Coke can, apple juice, and boric acid. The promise written in bold under the title, "Safe for honeybees." It is the single most destructive lie in DIY pest control. Here's what's actually happening in your yard in late August. Honeybees are starving. The summer flowers have dried up. The fall flowers haven't bloomed yet. Beekeepers call this the dearth period, and during these weeks, honeybees fly farther and search harder than any other time of year. They will find sugar wherever it is, a spilled soda, a fallen apple, an apple juice trap on your fence. They drink, they fly home, they share the boric acid with their entire hive, mouth to mouth. By the time you check your trap and see only dead wasps, 3 honeybee colonies within 5 miles of your house are already collapsing. So here is the fall recipe, the one that does the same job, with one ingredient swapped. Inside your Coke can, mix a 1/4 cup of sugar water, made 1 part sugar to 3 parts water. Add 1 tablespoon of plain white vinegar. Add 3 drops of Dawn dish soap. That's it. The sugar still attracts the wasps, exactly like it did in the viral recipe. But here's the swap. Vinegar replaces boric acid. Vinegar smells repulsive to honeybees. They turn around the instant they detect it in the air. Wasps don't care about the smell. They fly straight in. The soap then breaks the water tension, and the wasp sinks. No chemical taken home, no colony poisoned, just a wasp that drowned, and a honeybee that flew away unharmed. This is the recipe the viral videos should have given you. This is the recipe that keeps the promise they broke. Hang your trap at least 20 feet from your house, and if you know where a honeybee hive lives nearby, hang it on the opposite side of your yard. Check it every 5 days. Refresh the bait once a week. Always do maintenance at dawn or dusk, when both species are slow and less likely to sting you. Get this right, and by mid-October, your wasp problem will be almost gone. The colonies are dying anyway, and you've taken out the workers that would have stung your family. But there's still one more season, and it's the one almost nobody thinks about. Most people think wasp season ends in October. That's why they put the traps away, close up the garden, and forget about wasps until next May. That is the single biggest mistake homeowners make. Because what happens in winter is exactly what decides how bad next summer will be. Here's what's actually happening outside right now, even if you can't see it. By November, almost every wasp from this year's colonies is dead. The workers, the males, even the old queen, all gone, frozen, starved, or simply at the end of their lifespan. But before they died, the old queen produced a small batch of new queens, maybe 5, maybe 50. These new queens flew off in late fall, mated, and went looking for one thing: a safe, warm crack to sleep in for the next 4 months. They're in your yard right now, probably more than one, hidden under loose bark, tucked into a woodpile, wedged behind the soffit boards of your eaves, buried inside the cracks of your siding, each one a future colony of 5,000 wasps, just waiting for spring. You will not catch them with a trap. They're not eating. They're not flying. They're frozen in place, conserving every drop of energy until the ground warms up. But you can stop them with something simpler than a trap. You can take their hiding spots away. So here's the winter recipe. Except it isn't a recipe, it's a checklist. First, walk around the outside of your house on a dry winter day. Look at every place where wood meets wood, where siding meets the foundation, where the soffit meets the wall. Anywhere you see a gap wider than a pencil, that's a future wasp nest. Seal it with silicone caulk or steel wool. A $10 tube of caulk can eliminate a dozen future queens. Second, check your wood piles. If you store firewood against the side of your house, move it at least 10 feet away. Queens love wood piles. Stacked logs are basically a wasp hotel. Third, look at any garden structures you have. Birdhouses you don't use. Old planters turned upside down. Hollow fence posts. Empty flower pots stacked in the corner. Each one is potential winter shelter. Either seal them or store them somewhere indoors until March. That's the entire winter strategy. No bait, no can. Just 20 minutes of walking, looking, and sealing. And here's the part that's hard to believe until you live through a season of it. One careful winter checklist can erase 90% of next summer's wasp problem. Not because you killed anything, because you took away the homes they were planning to use. By the time spring comes, the few queens that did survive will have nowhere to nest near your house. They'll fly somewhere else, and you'll start the year ahead, not behind. That's the whole 12-month plan. 1 Coke can, 4 recipes, $0. And not a single honeybee killed in the process. But before you walk away and start building, there are a few things you need to know honestly. Things most videos never tell you. I want to be straight with you about 3 things before you go build your trap. Because every video on this topic skips them, and I think you deserve better than that. First, this method works for most wasp problems, but not all of them. If you have a large, active, underground yellowjacket nest in your yard, especially one with hundreds of wasps coming in and out every minute, traps alone won't be enough. You'll thin the workers, but you won't kill the colony. For that, you need to treat the nest directly. The safest way is to wait until full darkness, when every wasp has returned to the nest, then pour about 4 liters of boiling water mixed with 2 tablespoons of Dawn dish soap straight into the nest entrance. The heat and the soap kill the entire colony within minutes, with no chemical residue left in your soil. It's old school, it's free, and it's the only thing I trust for serious infestations. Second, science doesn't have every answer yet. There are native bee species in your yard, mason bees, leafcutter bees, carpenter bees, that haven't been studied as deeply as honeybees. We know honeybees avoid vinegar. We assume most native bees do too, because they share similar smell receptors. But we don't have hard data on every species. So if you're a serious gardener who cares about all pollinators, place your fall trap as far from your flower beds as possible. Keep it on the edge of your property, not in the middle of your garden. Third, I'm not selling you anything. There's no link in the description for a product, no discount code, no sponsored bait kit. The whole point of this method is that everything you need is already in your house. A used Coke can from your recycling bin, sugar from your cupboard, vinegar from your pantry, a bottle of Dawn from your sink. That's the entire toolkit. If a video about wasp control is trying to sell you a $40 trap, ask yourself why. Now, before I let you go, there are 3 questions I know will show up in the comments. Let me answer them now. Question 1. Can I use a Pepsi can, or a beer can, or some other aluminum can instead of Coke? Yes, absolutely. The brand doesn't matter. Any 12-ounce aluminum can with similar shape, will work the same way. I say Coke because most American households have one in the recycling. Use whatever you've got. Question 2. How do I tell a wasp from a honeybee when I check my trap? 3 quick differences. A wasp has a narrow waist, almost like it's pinched in the middle. A honeybee has a thick, rounded body. A wasp is shiny and mostly hairless. A honeybee is fuzzy, especially on its back. A wasp's colors are bright, almost neon yellow and black. A honeybee is softer, more golden brown. If it looks like a tiny flying tiger, it's a wasp. If it looks like a fuzzy little teddy bear, it's a bee. Question 3. What do I do with the used bait when I empty the trap? Don't pour it down the drain, and don't dump it in your compost. Dig a small hole somewhere in your yard, away from flower beds, pour the liquid in, and cover it with soil. Sugar, vinegar, and dish soap are all biodegradable. They'll break down in a few days and won't harm the soil or any pollinators that pass through. That's everything. Real answers, no spin. If this video helped you, there's one last thing I want to say before you go. Don't keep this method to yourself, because most people who build wasp traps are not trying to hurt honeybees. They just don't know that one sweet bait, at the wrong time of year, can destroy an entire hive. So if you've ever found a wasp nest under your deck, inside your shed, in a hole in the yard, or right above your front door, tell me in the comments, where was the worst wasp nest you've ever dealt with? And what month did it happen? I read every comment. And if you're not sure which bait to use for your season, I'll help you figure it out. And if you want more chemical-free garden solutions like this, subscribe to the channel. This is part of a new series called Garden Without Chemicals. Next, we're going after ants, mosquitoes, and the other backyard pests that ruin summer without turning your yard into a poison zone. Because every honeybee colony you save is not just a hive. It's millions of tiny flights across gardens, fruit trees, wildflowers, and vegetable beds. Maybe your neighbor's garden, maybe a farm down the road, maybe the tomato plant sitting in your own backyard. One Coke can kill wasps. But used the right way, it can also protect the bees your garden needs most.